Welcome, hotshots, to Flashlight by Firepower X. Here you can find the industrial strength tools you need to dominate your personal and professional wellness as a firefighter. I'm Jess, I'm your host, and it's my absolute pleasure to introduce our special guest today, Captain Phil McCully. He's been a firefighter for 22 years, working as far north as New Hampshire and as far south as the South Pole. And currently, he serves as captain on the Newton Fire Department up in Massachusetts, assigned to Engine 10, Oak Hill, and Union President for the Newton Firefighters Local 863. Welcome, Phil. Thanks for coming on the show today.
Thanks for having me, Jess. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, so I don't actually know your origin story, Phil. How did you get started in firefighting? Let's start there.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, kind of like a unique route, I guess is the best way to put it. I went to Franklin Pierce University, which is like up in New Hampshire, basically like an hour and a half north of Boston. Originally, I was going there to be a media production major. And just so fate would have it, like I got assigned on my floor with all the volunteer firefighters because they had a student firefighter program there as well. They didn't have fire science, but they just had the guys kind of volunteer and stuff. So during like the first week, after the first 2 days, when the tone drops and everybody leaves, I got old. So that's how I kind of got sucked into the fire service.
Mhm.
It's been pretty good. Found the camaraderie and all that pretty good. And then I took the civil service test and yeah, bounced around a little bit after that. But yeah, that's how I got sucked in. Is everyone was doing it, so I was like, might as well check it out. So
Uh-huh. Was that volunteer position that you started with or
yeah,
career? Okay.
yeah, so that was a volunteer. So basically, the college had a volunteer department like within the town itself, but then
Mhm.
on the college campus, they had a fully student-run fire station. So the chief was a student. We're all like college kids and firefighters. So you had like bio majors, photography majors, and everybody. And then when the tone drops, they're running to this. I'm trying to think what our truck was at the time. I want to say it was like the early 2000s, but like our fire truck was like from '69 or something. So it was a stick shift. Yeah, so we had a lot of hand-me-down equipment and gear. And so if there were any alarms on the college campus or EMS calls, we'd handle it. And then after I was involved with that for a little while, I started getting involved with the town, volunteering there and stuff, and just kind of took off after that. So
And the rest is history.
yeah, like I said, the family dynamic and the camaraderie like was really appealing to me. I've run into some great people along the way. A lot of good people like gravitate to this sort of career path. So you end up like meeting really, really awesome people along the way. So
Yes, and full disclosure to the viewers, Phil and I met at McMurdo in Antarctica. Again, we served for a couple years together down there, which was really fun.
yep. I was going to say I have a very distinct memory when I was like hanging out in the volunteer firehouse, and there was like a fire rescue magazine that had the Antarctic Fire Department because I think they just did like a rugby game or something, and that was like that was that was in the picture like on there, and I was like, I need to figure out how to get down there.
Yeah, I think I have pictures of you and Steve from the rugby game, like really good shots from the rugby game because we
Yeah,
were on call for them. We did their medical, right?
yeah.
Awesome. So let's start to pivot towards wellness because we're a podcast about wellness. Offline, you mentioned talking about wellness through safety. What aspects of safety do you mean when you're building a culture of wellness?
Yeah. For a little while, I was in our fire department's training and safety division.
Mhm.
And while I was in there, like I'm a relatively young captain up there, and I had the unique opportunity to take the reins. And I was the highest ranking person in that department. So it was just me and the chief at direct line. And I was able to work out some great partnerships within our local community and get the cultural wellness more into the firehouse. I think both at a mental level and also like at a physical level too. When I got hired in 2010, I started working for the Newton Fire Department, the microcosm of the firehouse is the
Mhm.
firehouse fridge. So like when I got on like 2010, I'd open the fridge up, it'd be like heavy creamer, you know? And now
Mhm.
like in 2025, I open it up, we have almond milks, we have everything else. So the culture is sort of shifting to a more like conscious and purposeful, I think, in terms of what we're eating. And also with the mental health app, we've had some great partnerships that we were able to bring in some mental health stuff to our people. Some things were through grants and some things were through like just a couple phone calls. So it was a big achievement that we were able to kind of move that. And the department's still moving forward and doing a lot of those projects.
Awesome. I know you mentioned nutrition, but what did you guys kind of start turning towards?
Yeah. Yeah, so we have a psychology college that they had already a partnership with a whole bunch of other communities, and we were the first fire department, I think, to reach out to them. But basically, they have like a helpline. So you call in, say, "Hey, I've got XYZ insurance, or I had this problem," and then they're able to connect people. And it was one of those things that initially, when we approached them, our union,
Hmm.
Said, listen, we want to work on this partnership right now because if you were a citizen of the city of Newton, you had access to this, but through whatever red tape or whatever, they don't consider the firefighters the citizens. But we worked out a partnership with them. So like it worked out great that like our people are able to call this helpline and get connected. We've been doing this since January and we're 8 months in, and I think we've helped like 9 firefighters, which is what I want to hear, because like we want to push those mental aspects. And then also we have a great relationship with the chief of department. If whenever our people go to any significant scene or anything like that, we activate like a critical stress team and so forth. That's our standard operating procedure. It's an automatic thing for any loss of life at a scene, like outside of like a standard cardiac arrest, that we activate this stuff. So it's a great partnership, kind of hand in hand with the administration and also with some great partners in the community.
Cool. Is that helpline, is that now a union perk or is it through EAP or is it totally separate from both entities?
So it runs separate from EAP. There's, I guess, like some mixed results with how to utilize it. So that's why we took it upon ourselves, our union, to work out this partnership with this university that's there. And times our people, they don't know where the first step is. And I think that's the most frustrating aspect is like trying to find somebody who's taking new patients or is covering your insurance or can address what you're looking for. We were able to help a decent amount of our people, and I'm glad that we were able to do that.
That sounds like an awesome program. They're able to triage when you call them of like, okay, I'm going to get you over here and get you to this resource.
It's usually rather quick, like from time of phone call, and within 24 to 48 hours, they'll have a list of people who you can seek out. It's been absolute phenomenal resource. All the feedback I've been hearing from my people have been great.
Awesome. That
Yeah.
was something they were already offering, you said, to the citizens.
So a handful of communities, I guess, through the public health department, they're a part of this program. It was interesting because it was one of those things that we stumbled upon. Not a whole lot of people were aware of the program. So I think that's also like generating a little bit more buzz now. But yeah, if you're a citizen of probably a handful of 10 communities, you just call a number during relatively normal business hours, and
Mhm.
then they're able to triage it and give you a direction of where to go.
Wow. Any other exciting partnerships that have had success that you guys have kind of
Y-
initiated? Tell me more. I want to
Yeah,
hear more.
yeah. This project is it's still in its infancy, but I was our main grant writer. So we were writing AFG grants through FEMA, and the project that's going to be started hopefully in the next couple months is we're hooked up with this first responder and veteran yoga program,
Oh,
and so
nice.
they're going to come in and do yoga with our firefighters. So we
Hmm.
basically have it set up that they'll come in and have like a private session. And Mondays at Station 2, bring your yoga mat from 2 to 3. You can come on down. They're a local charity, and all their instructors and so forth are either first responders or veterans. So they have that great community and that connection. So, yeah, so we
Hmm.
got that. It's all about how you can find these places. I think, like in this day and age, because of social media and the internet, you're able to form these connections and kind of like track down these partnerships. Don't ever be afraid to make the conversation and start the phone call. We're getting hooked up with this group and hopefully be doing some yoga in the future. So, yeah.
Cool. Yeah, we have some groups out here that are doing that, and I think they've had a lot of success.
I'll be the first to admit that I steal all my ideas from other places. When you get in the mindset of being like a student, sort of like fire service, I look at Colorado and I look at the West Coast departments, what they're doing, because on the East Coast, things kind of move slower out here. It's just how the Northeast is. We're slow to adopt some things, we think we know better. But like my buddy Corey always says, it's the right coast. But basically, it's all about stealing some ideas. I saw the partnerships doing yoga in the firehouses, like out in Colorado, out in California. I'm like, well, why don't we just do that out here? We'll see if we'll get much traction. Like I said, this group that we're working with have done it a little bit before, but yeah, we're excited for this partnership.
Hmm. How do you change people's minds when you pitch them these kind of West Coast ideas? Are they interested to try it, or do you have to do some coercion?
You definitely have to do like some suggesting, you know what I mean? It's all about like how you sell it. It's in this day and age with the internet, you're able to figure out data and you're able to exchange information rather quickly. And the fire service, everyone has, I joke around, I say it's like the same clown's different circus. So there's a lot of things that are repeated like amongst the fire service. And if you're having a problem, chances are somebody else has had that problem. And the fire service moves sometimes slowly. My department, I'd say like moves slowly. Like we were still using carbon paper when I got on. So that's in like 2010. Now we're on iPads. Been on iPads probably since like 2016, just been almost a decade, but we just have to chip away at it. And that's it. That's why I say the way to eat an elephant is one bite at a time. Keep at it. And then eventually people will get sick of listening to you or or they will.
Yeah. Or they'll retire. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
The relationship between the union or the labor side and the admin of the department is variable. So you can have like really
Yeah.
good relationships, you can have very antagonistic relationships. So what have you found to keep that relationship flowing and happy and instead of the us versus them mentality that sometimes can happen? What's your secret, Phil?
I mean, I've only been union president since January. It's a short term, and I'm fortunate that I'm in contract, so I don't have to worry about a contract for another year and a half. But it's all about just having honest and frank conversations. Our union peers will text, but if I'm ever talking to our administrators or anything like that, it's either in person or it certainly is over email and certainly over person, just to make sure that nothing gets misconstrued. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that also being able to articulate your points, I like to think that I see both sides. The administration and the union has had a couple minor things, but it's all about just communicating. It's the name of the game. I'm a positive person. I have a good sounding board and a good group of friends that I keep in touch with amongst the fire service. It's tough when you have that like negative loop that's in there and it's hard to break out of it. Sometimes it does take like a step back and kind of like, all right, let's refocus. And it's one of those things. And like in my department, we have a very young chief. So he's probably going to be chief for the next 14 years, if not more. It's all about being able to see long term because nobody's going anywhere in theory. But yeah, you just balance it and you do the best you can to not get sucked into a negative.
No, it's really important. It's easy to just end up spinning your wheels.
It's definitely a unique dynamic because before the chief and I were on good terms, but like he's the chief. And now when you're in a labor union, and you're at my level, I'm equivalent. So once again, you give respect, you get respect. It's all about that. It's all about just having the mutual respect for each other for that position.
Yeah, that's really important. So, what is the union's focus right now? I know you mentioned these partnerships, but are you guys pushing anything in legislation?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on right now. What's unique about Newton was there's no real maternity language within our contract. When I worked in Antarctica, there were way more women on the job down there. In my department, we have 200 people. I only have 3 women on our
Wow.
job. And it's one of those things that we've never had maternity language in our contract for 150 years. I forget how long. We have to address that. So that's one of the big things that's coming down. The PFAS and the fire gear,
Yeah.
that's obviously a hot topic. We're getting all PFAS free gear. Our city earmarked $1 million and we bought all PFAS free gear. But obviously, we're being cognizant of what we're getting. In Quincy, Massachusetts, a community right next door to us, they believe they bought PFAS free gear. Independent lab and it came back very hot, I guess is the best way to put it. So they're dealing with that whole debacle. Those are the two big things. Mental health, that's a topic that I want to keep pushing in our department. There's always a project somewhere about wellness that you can be working on. The younger generation now it has a more prominent thought. I don't think we'd really be worrying about this sort of thing and like actually talking about increasing bereavement leave or changing our bereavement leave language. It's just one of those things.
There's a lot of bases to cover with staying well in
Yeah.
the fire service. How do you stay well, Phil? What keeps you mentally refreshed in this industry?
Yeah. I'll cold plunge when I'm at the firehouse. So I'll do that. I don't do like a crazy cold plunge. I like my
Hmm.
temperatures, usually 50 degrees is my sweet spot,
Hmm.
because I feel like when I'm doing that, I'm doing it first thing in the morning at the firehouse as a way to wake up. It's awesome. But yeah, I don't get it too cold. One time I got it down to like 30 degrees. It was awesome. But then
Hmm.
we had an alarm go off and I'm like, while we're driving to the alarm, I'm like, man, my fingers are feeling a little numb. I'll also swim like this summer, like I started swimming, and I think that's great because it gives me like an hour just to be disconnected from my phone. And I always do it in the early morning from like 5 to 6 a.m. So no one really is up to bother me yet. That's it. I tell people like, do what you want to do. I just recently moved to a suppression schedule. So I have work a 24 on, 3 days off schedule. If I want to go bowling on a Tuesday at 2 in the afternoon, like I'll do that. And it's great. Whatever, like take yourself on mental vacations and field trips and do what you do. And I think that keeps you grounded and balanced. And that's my secret, I guess. So
Hmm. I love it. How is the 24/72 schedule? Have you noticed a difference?
yeah, it's awesome. So when I was in our days schedule, it was 4 10-hour days. That has its own benefits because your home nights and weekends and your sleep schedule is a little bit better. So I think your sleep hygiene is a little bit more regulated. The 24/72 off though is I tell everyone, I think this is I'll usually talk to one of our friends Uncommon, Rob Gankars, and like I'll
Hmm.
tease him all the time because he loves that schedule. But yeah, it's great. It gives you plenty of time I joke around because I'm a captain. I say, listen, you have no excuse to be late because you have 3 days to get here.
Hmm.
It's great because if you want to go out or do something, it gives you a lot of time to go do whatever you want.
Hmm. Now, did you guys have to fight for that, or did your department adopt adopt it pretty easily.
Yeah, yeah. We've had that schedule since the 90s. It's been pretty good. That's a pretty
Mhm.
common schedule in New England or in the Northeast. The other schedule that you'd see is like a 24 on, 24 off, 24 on, 24 off, kind of like rotating. That's the other big schedule that's in Massachusetts. I'll tell you, that was the best thing we ever bargained was the 24 on, 72 off, because we used to do a unique like day, night, night something. But like I said, in the 90s, we decided to switch over.
I know a lot of Western departments are really having to fight for that now because they're on 4896s. And so that's like a big thing
Yeah,
out
yeah, yeah,
here.
yeah, yeah. We run four groups. Our department is like 190 something people. We run a shift of like 36 to 42, depending on what time of year it is, because we do a winter manning. So from like January to the end of March, we staff an extra person on our engines. But yeah, it's a great schedule to have with the four battalions or the four different groups. It makes it easy for, like I said, if you want to work, it's great. And if you need some time off, it's great to have those three other groups there.
Mhm. Awesome. Being an officer and
Yeah.
balancing, and then also being a parent because you're a dad now, right? Let's start with being an officer. How did that change your relationship with like crew wellness, paying attention to the people you're working with? Tell us more about that.
Yeah, in my position, I'm able to be a little bit more of a megaphone if people need help. And
Hmm.
then I think it goes hand in hand with reputation too. When I was in our training division, I was the safety officer. So I would look at our dispatch notes or what the other crews are doing, even though I'm at home. Like if I see that they go to a hairy call or something, I'll call the officer, I'll call my friends who are on that truck or people who I have a close relationship with. And then you just reach out and just make sure that people know if they need help or you just check in with them, kind of see what's going on. Like everyone has something going on. I think that's the biggest thing. And I think that's what, as an officer, I have to think about that because you always have to look in that lens of if one of your people, if they're having issues, is it because of the issue that's going on like right here? Or is there something else like going on home or something that we have no idea about, And I think that's why you always give them the benefit of the doubt and you try to figure out kind of like what's going on because everyone's battling something or going through something or getting over something. So you want to make sure that have that compassion there. And I think as an officer, it's one of those things that like I look out for my crew. It's tough making the jump from buddy to boss, but the way my route went is like I went into the admin side of the house. So like I was able to build a separation between what I used to be as a firefighter and then not that I really changed. I just do different types of shenanigans. But basically, you go from a private to an officer. You're able to kind of build that space. I always say like, yeah, my name is my name. You have to maintain that, and then that'll help you out as you climb the ladder, I find.
Yeah. How about being a dad now? How's that?
Uh man, it's definitely daycare at both places. Sometimes it's tough. My brain switched like the minute I became a parent. Like I do pediatric and like those types of calls completely differently. There was like a switch that got flipped in my brain, especially when you're at that level that you're trying to look out for your people. I don't think I would have been as like super hyper vigilant maybe about like pediatric calls and all that jazz. And now I'm a little bit more cognizant that we've like young parents or a new dad or something on a call or on a truck and they do a unique call, just to make sure to double check in with them and talk everything out and try to make sure that they have the support that they need. Try to keep tabs on how people are doing. Like I always joked around saying that like the new parents, you can always tell them in the fire station because like they always act like they're the first people the kids and well, everyone has the same struggle. We all go through it. So it's good to have that
Hmm.
bond, I think.
Uh-huh. Nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not a parent, so I don't know what that feeling is,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah. Myself and a group of the guys on the Newton Fire Department, we all share our fitness data. We're all on the Whoop together.
Hmm.
I'm trying to compete with these young 20-year-olds who have no family and no kids, and like I can't keep up with their fitness stats because I just berate them in the chat room. But yeah, it was an interesting shift. It's my favorite thing to do is be a dad. So besides being a firefighter, being a dad is pretty cool.
Hmm. Oh, if there was one thing like you really want other firefighters to know about like mental wellness, physical wellness, what would it be?
Don't try anything that's out there. You know what I mean? If coloring is your thing, I'm serious. Like adult coloring, I'm all on board with that. Whatever it takes to allow yourself to unplug and unwind, just take advantage of it or just try to find a way to fit that in with your time. Like I said, I carve out the early morning for my morning rituals. So I try to do like the early morning stuff, anything between 4 to 6 a.m. I just try to take advantage of it. Research stuff, see what's out there. Like I said, whatever it takes, the mental wellness stuff that's out there, if yoga is your thing, do yoga, meditation, anything that helps is worthwhile. And don't be afraid of trying it and seeing it. And you know what works and you know what doesn't work, I guess.
Hmm. And you mentioned stealing a bunch of good ideas. Where do you go? Do you go to social media? Are there certain departments out west that you look at?
Steal everything from social media. If I'm looking out in Colorado, I'm looking at South Metro, I'm looking to Denver and all that other jazz. Like everything in Colorado is pretty cutting edge. I look over in California from time to time. And
Mhm.
then I'm of a global thoughts on over in Europe. And so when like electric vehicles, when they start becoming a big thing, we were one of the first departments in the country to get this device to disable electric vehicles, specifically like Teslas and all that other jazz. So like I stole that idea from an Amsterdam firefighter. That was his company that he created this. And like I said, I found him via LinkedIn and social media. I connected with him. I cold called him. It was reminiscent of like when we used to call like down in Antarctica. So like that was a little bit of a with a language barrier and a little bit of a satellite delay, but we hit it off and we were able, like I said, the Newton Fire Department, like we were like after FDNY, we were able to be one of the first departments to have this because we bought it directly from the guy who made it. Look at things globally. Try see what's going on over in Europe or outside of your area, and don't be afraid of bringing that in. You know, we all have a very similar problems amongst the fire service. Look out there. There might be a solution out there for you.
Hmm. Perfect. As we start to wrap up the conversation, what tool or resource would you like to leave our viewers with, kind of in that same vein that you mentioned of being a international firefighter?
Yeah, yeah. I listen to this British firefighter podcast. It's called the Firefighter Podcast. He's an English firefighter over there, and his focus, he's a bit of a pizza, a little bit of a CrossFit guy. So he likes his CrossFit and all that jazz, but he has some great mental health stuff. And like I said, like just look at what's going on globally and then being able to take that and bring it home. You know, I steal ideas from everywhere and I'm willing to tell people that I steal my ideas.
That's fine. That's great. You're not taking credit for it. So, any closing thoughts or anything we didn't touch on today that you feel is important to say in this conversation?
I was watching Evans's episode before I jumped on with you, and I think that's like one thing I wanted to deal like it with imposter syndrome at one point or another. And I'm a first generation firefighter. Nobody else in my family has ever like really considered this career. And
Mhm.
like you don't know what you're capable of until you take that first step. Like when I was in our training division, I became the grant writer. No experience writing grants whatsoever. I was there for like 3 short years. I got $2.4 million worth of grants. You just got to have that confidence. Like, did
Mhm.
I have imposter syndrome? Yes, I still constantly do. I always battle that, but you just have to keep focused, you know, and just do the best you can. Look around, and then if you have a good support team, reach out to them and always have that feedback loop. I think it'll help out.
Mhm. Wow, $2.4 million in grants. That's amazing, Phil. Congratulations.
Yeah, I joke around. I say the first million's the hardest, but it was one of those things that like I looked at every avenue to bring in different training, to bring in a dietitian to help our people learn how to eat better, and to bring in a yoga class and cancer testing and all this other stuff. Whatever you can do to bring that stuff in, look in the room who can help you and immediately form teams. And everything is like an elephant, right? But if you just take one bite at a time, you'd be surprised what you're able to accomplish.
Very inspiring, Phil. Thank you. Thank you for sharing all of this with us and
Yeah,
coming on the show today. We really appreciate it. It's so good to see you
absolutely.
again.
Yeah, yeah. I'm glad we were able to make this work because it's definitely you can never hit a moving target, which is like my motto because I'm constantly moving.
Yeah, totally, for sure. I will put the link to the podcast that Phil mentioned in the show notes today if you're interested to follow up with that. Thanks to our viewers. If you're still watching, you're amazing. We appreciate you. And as always, my door is open to you. If you have any thoughts or comments after the show, just email me at firepowerx.com. And guys, I guess we'll see you in the next episode. Thanks for watching.